Thank you, and it's great to be with you today. I live in Washington, D.C., where the temperatures are quite frigid. Although last night was a little cool, my wife said, "You promised warm temperatures." I said, well, hang out. They're on their way, I hope. But it's so good to be with you and to be able to share my experiences in human capital leadership. And great to be here with my colleagues and to our founding partner, Roger Anderson, who founded the Medtech business some 38 years ago. But Roger started it when he was quite young. But it's great to be with you to represent our firm and what we've done over the last really 50 years in providing leaders. I've spent the last 25 years serving on the boards of major corporations, as well as advising leaders in the C-suite, both at the Fortune 500 level and even small startup companies around the country and the world. And one of the things that I have found is that the consistent theme and the consistent issues that are raised are all about people. We find that people often get hired for technical competencies, but they get fired or demoted or they fail for leadership deficiencies. It happens all the time. I'm advising a company today that is loaded with cash from grants and investments, but right now they're experiencing the most chaotic scene in their history because of leadership. And so talking about leadership is not trite, it's critical, even if you've got the right mousetrap, or you've got the right invention, or the right product, or the right service. It's really all about leadership and getting that right at the very front and understanding how do you do it. I find that even though the innovation that you bring here today, which is rich with possibility and may be a game changer, we've got to find the right people. You've got to find the right people who will lead the organization and give leadership to the most important delivery and success of the business. I have found that investors are all betting on leadership. And while the technology and innovation is crucial, you've got to have the right people making it happen. One of the things that I think is important is leadership starts with us. It's who are we, and what do we bring to organizations to make it really impactful? If who you are is what you do, then who are you when you cease doing what you do? Too often my colleagues and I, we sit down and we interview people for leadership roles, and they begin reciting their resumes. And we have to stop them and say, well, we've got the paper here. We already have your background on LinkedIn. We don't need you to recite that for us again. But we do need to know who you are. We need to know the kinds of experiences you've had, where you've been, how you were raised, what kind of value system do you have, what leadership traits do you bring to an organization that would give comfort for folks to entrust you with leading the business. In old days, we used to call those the soft skills. But we have found the soft skills today are really the crucial skills. When you talk to Bill George, the former CEO of Medtronic, or if you talk to Medtronic, or if you talk to Al McDonald, the former chairman of McKinsey, they will tell you that genuine, authentic leadership comes from leaders who are able to tell their story and to talk about who they really are. They have the courage to be transparent, to talk about what they bring to the dynamic of an organization. The word courage, by the way, in the Latin, the original word of courage comes from the word heart. It means to bring all of your heart to your story, to talk about who you really are and the kind of impact you can have on an organization. We need more leaders today who have courage, not courage in the new sense of being a hero, but courage of being real and transparent and vulnerable so that others may know what they bring to an organization and where there's the right fit. Too often we dismiss the soft skills, but the soft skills are crucial, and in many ways the soft skills are the hard skills. So who you are is important. Who you are is critical. I said to my children when they were growing up, they would have to recite this little poem as I paid them an allowance. And they're 25 and 29 today, but they've been doing it for many years. And even when they ask me for money now, I'll say, recite the poem. And it says this: fame is like a vapor. Popularity comes by accident. Wealth takes wings and flies away, but character never dies. And over the years, they had to recite that to me week after week before getting their allowance. As they became middle schoolers and high schoolers, they were frustrated. But I said, there's no money being passed until I hear it. And then my son, who was a Spanish major, would say it in Spanish to get back at me. And I would say to myself, I don't care what language you use. I want you to get it inside, because I want you to know what leadership's all about. And I want you to know who you are is important, and what makes you who you are is critically important. So who you are is key, and who the people you bring in as investors and as team members is key, it's essential. Second, it's important to know that what you all are doing really matters. More people today are looking for companies and organizations to join that are bringing immeasurable impact into the marketplace. Passion and purpose and mission ring loud for the next generation, and ring loud for so many of us who are saying, I want to have an impact on the world. And there's not a single person in here today who's doing what you do in the Medtech space that's not having an impact that will transform the world. You have an opening to the marketplace today of people who are looking for more than just money. And believe it or not, there's some people who work harder for mission than they will for money. But they also want to be in a purposeful organization that has a message. And that's key. So who you are and what you do matters. And thirdly, why you do what you do. It's your raison d'etre. It's why you are doing what you're doing. Now, obviously, there are people who are saying, I want to get the next best win financially. But if that's your only motivation, it's going to be short-lived. But if your motivation is impact, and your raison d'etre has a lot to do with changing the world, it's enormous. My father was a shoe repairman by day and a janitor by night, and married my mother and had 3 children. I have an identical twin brother who's a physician in Texas, and my older brother. But life shattered for us for my mother at age 47 when she was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. She died and left my father a widower to raise 3 sons. My first understanding of medicine doesn't cure all, and that sometimes you can get there too late or get there too early before there's an invention and a cure for whatever ails you. My father continued to raise his 3 sons until 3 years later his health failed, and his health failed, and he became a renal dialysis patient for the rest of his days, while working 3 days and going to get a renal dialysis service. But he continued to persevere. He continued to say, I'm not a victim, and he pushed forward in life. What you all do here matters. It matters to those who are losing loved ones and who are losing family members and who are struggling with their own existence for a better way and a better cure, a better technique, a better technology. So who you are is key, because you're the leaders. What you do matters, and it's a draw for talent, by the way. And then thirdly, your raison d'etre for doing what you do is key. After losing both of my parents and getting married and having a family, I mentioned my dad has 3 sons. My parents have 3 sons. The only daughter in our life was my first cousin, who lived 2 doors down, and she, too, developed metastatic breast cancer. Here I am, an adult, and I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to let what happened to my mother happen to my sister. She was like a sister to us. And so I went on a journey, and I got the best medical care for her at MD Anderson. I talked to the chairman. I got her at MD Anderson. And then they mentioned these preclinical trials, and they said, we've got to get FDA approval. The Obama administration was leaving, the Trump administration was coming in, and I got the head of FDA for the Obama administration and the head of FDA for the Trump administration on the phone with me talking about my sister who was dying of metastatic breast cancer. They approved a clinical trial. No, then I had to go get a congressional approval. I was working hard because I knew I did not want to lose her. We got congressional approval. And then we got AstraZeneca and others with the pre-trials to qualify her. We got her into MD Anderson in Houston. I flew down, and by the time I got there into the place, the physician said to me, you know, you got all the right marks here. You set it up, but it's far too late. It's far too late. And so I sat by her bedside as she passed on from this life to the next. So what you do matters, and why you do it is critical. It's the raison d'etre. And so I want to encourage you today to continue to tell your story. And for some of you, telling your story is difficult because you want to keep it very medicinal and technical. But tell your story about the things that have happened in your life that have stretched you and caused you to grow. Al McDonald said to me, the former chairman of McKinsey, he says, you want to know if a leader has ever had a failed rung in his or her life. You want to know that he or she's been through something, either a personal failure of divorce or death, or been stretched to be sent to Asia to run a business, as someone said to me last night. Or you've been out of your zip code in terms of what you do, and you've had to learn a new language and a new experience. Those are the experiences that grow you up, that cause you to grow and develop as a leader. And so do what you do because it matters. Why you do it matters, and who you do it with is critical. You want to have a team of people to come around and enable you to do what you do. Our firm's been good at this in recruiting people, particularly diverse leaders, all leaders, to come in and have an impact on organizations. Because the studies show that diverse teams bring differentiated ideas, differentiated insight, experiences. You want diversity not only ethnic, not only gender, but also generational. You want regional diversity, skills and experiences that come from other places. We have to remove this echo chamber of sameness. The echo chamber of sameness keeps us from being innovative and creative. It's also the place where we can grow and thrive in businesses and organizations. And so we're here to help you do that. We have an affinity with a number of organizations, of people groups and skills that enable our clients to thrive and to serve and to do well. We believe that leadership is the key. The technology is crucial, but finding the right people to lead is critical. Let me just close by saying to you, the poet Babcock says it well. He says, be strong. We're not here to play. We're not here to dream. We're not even here to drift. He says, we have hard work to do and loads to lift. He says, shun the struggle. Face it. 'Tis God's gift. Lean into the difficulty and struggle. Know who you are. Know that what you do matters. Also understand your why for why you're doing what you do. And then lastly, make the commitment to build a culture that will be thriving, that will be diverse and different, that will give you the energy and the innovation you need to lead for the future. Thank you very much.